Hey, what's up YouTube? Chris Gardiner here today, and I just wanted to show you, this cool software, WebODM. Well, this is the web interface of ODM, which is Open Drone Map. Super powerful open source software for taking drone photos. Actually, basically any photogrammetry works particularly good with GPS coordinates included, like you would have with a drone, but you can use it for a little bit more than just drone photos. So let's go ahead and look at some examples of what I have done with it in the past. So just a time I was messing around with it. So firstly, let's turn this off. Now this is the regular Google Maps. I believe we can set the map source. Yep, so here we go. Okay, and we also have the OpenStreetMapper is available to us, and we can even set custom maps, right? We're not going to do that. Let's go ahead. Which one do we like the look of? Really, this one's got way more detail. So let's close that up. Now, this scan I'm going to show you I did without any ground control points. And what I did, this was also flying manually with the sticks. I wasn't using a program. I was testing it on my DJI Mini 2. I spent about very minimal time mapping it, rough passes, basically forward, back, and cross like this. So I kind of made an equal sign on it and also drew an X over top of the equal sign. I thought I really wanted to see how easily I could get a fairly 3D scan on a property with, ideally quickly and with minimal effort. And this is what we ended up with. So as you can see, let's just take it to we gotta stay a little further out so that the map doesn't disappear. So you can see, look at how close these line up. And this is with no ground control points, but having those double, triple, quadruple passes definitely helps you get this level of detail, because I don't always get it where, you can always tell with the roads because they should line up. And this is pretty cool too, right? Because it's, when do you ever see the satellite photos where it is snowy? I also want to test it on the snow because that is regularly a challenging situation for point matching, because everything looks so close to the same, being all entirely white like that. So here we are, we're looking at a 2D version. Let's just I think Google, you see it gives us some more of this background. Shouldn't bother me, but it does. Now, we do have some really cool tools that we can use in this mode. Like we have a measurement tool here. Oops. Is that my measurement tool? Yeah. Create a new measurement. Let's go from here. Boom. And we're going to about there. And likely about there. These are, of course, not totally accurate property boundaries, but it gives us, area in square meters, 0.35 acres, which we could translate to, or, let's say you were measuring the footprint of the house, you could translate that to square feet if needed. We get a path distance, a perimeter. And last point, so we can get accurate data on individual points. So let's say we were making a track of data points that you had walked and you want to put that into here. I think you could do that as well. Other things we can also produce from this are contour maps. Now I guess let's just try it. And by the way, I'm hosting this on a different machine right now. I'm in my Mac M1 Mini, but this lives on a different Linux machine, and I kind of have some different processing nodes set up, so it's kind of cool. I can set up a project in one, or set up two projects in one computer, and then it can offload a project to 2 or 3 other computers that run the same software. So super cool setup this allows if you have a little home lab like myself. So let's go to contour maps and let's just see what that looks like. Let's do a preview. Now I was centered over this, so the most accurate data you're going to get is where you've done the most passes. So this, you can start, if you look closely, it's getting to be a bit distorted, but I was hardly photographing this space. So I'm not surprised. This is going to take a second, still going. I can hear the machine beside me working up to calculate all of these. See, and there we go. Now obviously we are getting some artifacts in the water. That's because it's so clear we are seeing through, and it is probably in some way measuring the depth. So very cool. We can get this kind of information very quickly with simple drones. Where it looks really cool is when we get into this 3D stuff. Oh. Okay, and we're back. So let's save that password for later. And go view map. Let's go back to 3D. And does it work? Yes. Here we go. So this is the point cloud. Pretty dense. Not bad, right? Very cool view. Kind of, if you're familiar with Matterports, you're going to be familiar with this kind of feel. And that's really kind of one of my, what I want to have is some of these large properties, they could deal with an exterior Matterport, but Matterport's not extremely well suited to that. So I'd love to get some kind of decent scans on this kind of thing. So I chose this one because it was a challenging circumstance, and I wanted to see what a relatively unplanned flight was. I shot this one, I shot this one inside and did drone photos. Already had the drone up, got lots of what I needed. So I spent a bit of extra battery and made this. So pretty cool, right? But obviously we can see it's not perfect. Like, you get in close to these and it's jaggy, and we have holes in the mesh. But presumably that could be fixed with more passes and or lower passes or a number of other adjustments. This would excel at doing farmlands. It's actually got a lot of really cool plant health here. Now it's not going to do very well for us today because we don't see many plants. We just see tops of these evergreens, which in a traditional sense probably don't seem that healthy in the winter. Get these surface models, terrain models. So this is it actually trying to, I believe, like take away the house when possible. It's trying to figure out what's actually underneath all of the imperfections that it sees. Or, not imperfections, but, it's taking away this hedge. It obviously knows there's a hedge there, and it's trying to guess at what is underneath that hedge based on either side. So pretty cool technology that is at play for that. And the other thing I should mention is there are a ton of settings. Let's go into the setup mode. We're going to go back to dashboard here. Another cool thing is, let's say you start mapping all sorts of areas, you can start to provide your work to open aerial map, which is like, imagine a crowdsourced version of Google satellite views on maps, right? So that's a cool project to be a part of, or to consider being a part of. Ground control point interface. This is in the case, before you're actually making these maps, you would have some data about certain points in certain pictures and know the exact coordinates of those points, and you could input those with this. Now, processing nodes, this is these two nodes we can see here, and this machine that I'm on right now does not have a node, but I can, talk to the machines from this computer. And, we can set up other things, like I've kind of customized it with Gardiner there. Otherwise, it would say WebODM. We get some, you get to set up your login info. If you have staff, you can set up people that can upload to this for you, or maybe they can run projects under your machines. So lots of potentials with that. Let's go ahead and edit some of these things. Oops. Let's look at the tasks and then. So right here you can see some of what I've set up. So this was not the default settings, what I've done here. This is the snowy one. Depth map resolution, up that, maybe about 2 or 4 times the default. We are outputting the surface models, which I showed you, and the terrain models, which I showed you, and very high feature quality, so that is helping us get good, solving. GPS accuracy, I feel pretty good about the accuracy I get from my device, and I know it's probably 2.5 to 3 meters, but I told it treat it as about 2, and it actually did seem to help with getting a good picture. This is one of the best maps I've gotten. Ignore ground sample distance, so that you can choose to cap it at a certain limit. Let's say you only need 3 centimeters, 5 centimeters per pixel. You could implant that and it would only use the resolution it requires, but I just wanted to see what I got by allowing the full resolution of the photos I send. That's that one. Max concurrency, and when you're setting this all up, there are info panels for this, so you can get an idea what does max concurrency actually mean. Mesh octree depth, and there will be a lot of trial and error to get results you are happy with, but it is definitely worth it. Oh, and you know what, here's a number I rarely ever look at and pay attention to, but it tells you what your average GSD is. So this is 2 centimeters per pixel. So let's go back to our 2D view, and that means that if individually, if we are looking at, if that's exactly 1 pixel right there, which it seems to be, that on average across the entire span of the data is 2.5 centimeters. So that's pretty cool. That's a 2.5 centimeter level of estimated precision you have. I know, estimated precision, that's probably not a technical term. And total area mapped, and 52 million reconstructed points. That's pretty impressive, right? So this, when we go and we look at this 3D version, there's 52 million points in here. So that's why, this is not a light thing. It's not something, these are not currently very easy to get on the internet. So kind of showing them to people might be more local. Another part of my pipeline I'm working on right now to make it similar to an exterior Matterport is you've got to shrink these, and obviously this one I could cut down. I might include skip, kind of cut the mesh at these houses, maybe see proximity to your neighbor but not the full property, and then show a big swath of the water. I actually probably include the full width there. So we would cut down a large amount of the mesh just by cropping what we want to do, similar to how you prepare a photo. We don't actually need to show all this. This just happened to get captured and calculated, because it's easier to remove it sometimes at the end than to remove it at the beginning. So there's still some work to be done with making this really viable as a Matterport type product. But as you can see, if you show a real estate client something like this, I think you will impress them, because it's not like much you really see right now, and they will in turn have impressed clients, I believe, which is kind of the same as having job security as a freelancer, because all realtors will want to do that for their clients. Is it makes their job easier and it makes your job easier, right? So here's another thing you could start to do. Installation, a little bit difficult, but there's a whole instructional set. Just follow it as best you can. There's a lot of support out there, so when you get an error, just copy and paste what your error is into Google, and someone's already had that error before, I promise you. And you will find the solution there. So WebODM, very cool photogrammetry drone mapping software. Obviously, I think it's clear to see how high power and useful it is for property marketing, property, project planning, all sorts of stuff, maybe even insurance. So there we go, WebODM. Check it out. Thanks for watching.